Today was day number 6 in the Operation Epstein Fury. Epic Fury, right? And the president of the United States, Donald Trump, right, continued to beg other countries to join in this conflict. Even Zelensky came out today and said that Donald Trump is begging him to come and help them fight Iran. I didn't know that the United States was that desperate. I knew, I've been talking about how bad things are, but I didn't know it was this bad. To the point where, Zelensky was requested to help. And Zelensky said that he was going to help as long as it doesn't affect his conflict with Russia. And so the major highlight of today is that a drone hit Azerbaijan. It looks like Iran added Azerbaijan as an additional country in this conflict. However, it is also today that we heard Saudi Arabia, confirming that it was not Iran that hit their oil facility. They had arrested some Mossad agents in Saudi Arabia trying to sabotage the country. It is Israel that hit Aramco in Saudi Arabia. And it's also confirmed today that Israel was also the country that hit the UK military base in Cyprus. And Iran is also saying that it is Israel that sent a drone to Azerbaijan. So what is it that Israel is trying to do here? They are trying to drag more countries in this conflict, because I'm telling you that what is happening in Israel today, I don't know if by the end of the month of March, Israel will still be a country, because the destruction that is taking place in that country, it is so bad to the point where the mainstream propaganda is not allowed to even talk about it. Every single time you hear the mainstream propaganda talking, is always something about Iran is bombing the Gulf countries, or that, Israel and the US are continuing to bomb Iran. But the bombing of Iran is not making any difference. But what Iran is doing to Israel, as we're speaking, they hit the international airport, which is the only international airport out of Israel, Ben Gurion Airport or something like that. I don't even know if any plane can still fly out of that area. And a big missile was shot to one of the cities in Israel and left a huge hole in the middle of the city. It was extremely bad today. But if you were to listen to the mainstream media, the way they talk about it, right, what you will hear them say is that, the bombing of Iran into Israel is reducing, maybe because Israel and the United States are hitting the launchers, which is a major lie. Major lie. Iran showed a video of missiles coming out of the ground. Iran is not crazy. There are mobile launchers, but there are also underground launchers. Whereas, you cannot detect them. But you're not going to hear this from the mainstream propaganda, because they made a decision that no matter the destruction of Israel, they will do everything in their power to hide it. So then we hear that Donald Trump is trying to get the Kurds involved in this conflict. The Kurds are separatists who have their communities in the border of Iraq, right? They talk about the Iranian Kurds. And then you also have the Iraqi Kurds who live inside Iraq. And you have Kurds who live in the northern area of Syria. The CIA, it is said that they are talking to the Kurds who lived in the borders of Iraq to invade Iran. However, the Kurds who are located in Iraq, they say they don't want to have anything to do with this. Now, this is a suicide mission for many reasons. Nobody has tried to invade Iran before and succeeded because of how Iran is built. Iran is not an area where you can just invade. Just nature itself will stop you, right? And then second, you're talking about an army of 1 million when we talk about Iran. They are right there ready, just like the foreign minister of Iran said. They're waiting for anyone who wants to invade. And so because the United States know that it is not going to be a popular thing to get US involved in Iran, they're not going to resist, man. They will end them right there at the beginning. They are now negotiating with the Kurds to try to see if they will be the sacrificial lambs of the United States in this conflict. But that comes to show you how desperate the United States and Israel are. You know, in the other hand, almost all the media are saying that the United States will run out of ammunition, specifically defense system, because they are hitting drones that cost $10,000, even at the most $20,000, with $1 million missiles. This is a disaster. They have spent billions of dollars in just a matter of days. Imagine yourself that this conflict continues for months. Things are extremely bad and desperate for the United States and Israel. They're not going to resist another 2 weeks, the way things look. Then on the other side, we hear that the EU, right, the European Union, is now reconsidering their decision of sanctioning Russia. So when they heard Vladimir Putin mentioning yesterday that he is considering stopping all gas export to Europe, since they have decided that they will stop, buying Russian gas anyway by 2027, he's like, oh, well, why wait 2027? Let me just stop now and send this gas to Asia and places where it's needed, specifically with this conflict, since, we're probably going to be in this thing for a while. And so now the European unions are now getting together and trying to see how they can remove sanctions against Russia so that Russia can sell them oil and gas. This is amazing what is happening. And everybody's talking about it because everybody's saying that Russia has now become the silent beneficiary of this entire conflict, because even India has now gone back to Russia and they are ordering a whole lot of oil and gas from Russia now. And in other news, Iran has bombed more oil ships from the United States, and they are allowing only ships going to China to pass. However, because China is part of this entire thing, China also bought a whole lot of oil this entire 6 months, ever since June. They have been purchasing, large quantity of oil because they knew this was going to happen. And so China has also announced that they will not be exporting their gas anymore. They've put a halt on everything because of this conflict. Of course, domestic consumption comes as a priority. In conclusion, what it means is that bad news for the US and Israel. Things are getting worse every day. And until now, Iran has not started a full-time use of its modern weapon. They are still using old missiles. They've tried, to send some of the modern weapons. I believe the Fatah 2 was already used. They've used some of the hypersonic weapons, but they have not yet started using most of them. They still have the old missiles. And so Iran is at the position where it doesn't have to do much to succeed in this conflict. All they need to do is to continue in the same pace. It is the US that is in major panic. At every front, they are losing. Donald Trump is begging almost everyone. He got into, a fight with the Spanish prime minister because the Spanish prime minister stood his ground. He said, no, I am not sharing my military base for your illegal attack on Iran. Donald Trump talked about he's also not happy with the British. And then you had Netanyahu come out there and say, oh, I heard that you guys are trying to negotiate with Iran. What is it? The president, he's the one running the entire show. So he came and, got on Donald Trump, got upset, like, I heard that you guys are talking to Iran behind my back. And Donald Trump, told his master, no, that's not true. That's fake news and stuff. He said, oh, okay. The decision to invade Iran ended up being something that is going to benefit the multipolar world, because all it does is that it just speed up what we've already predicted in the beginning, that the West is in major decline. The U.S. is being humiliated at level where never seen before. In just a few days, you've already spent this amount of money. You're already begging the Kurds to go invade Iran. You're begging other countries to join. We clearly see that it is only the United States and Israel that are in panic mode. And the whole time, Iran is quietly going on with their plan. Like, they're not even bothered by anything. And the mainstream propaganda is just not working, because even though people are not supposed to be filming what is going on in Israel, we are seeing images coming out of there. And let me tell you, it is a disaster. If Iran has not yet started shooting its good weapons, then I can only tell you that things will only get worse as we continue this conflict.